I'm going to show you the absolute worst letter I've ever received from a potential seller, and I'm going to show you two classic buyer mistakes that a buyer just made trying to purchase the property. So let's go. So just to clarify, this is not one of those real estate agents making up something to prove a point. This is an actual letter, and here it is. So obviously I blanked out the property address, but it is a local property, and I blanked out the person's email address, but you can see their actual name is Rebecca. So maybe if Rebecca reads this, she'll maybe do things differently in the future. But if you read the letter, they've started to build their block because I'd sent them an email saying, hey, it looks like you've done no work so far. They responded back saying, yes, we are building, and we're looking at whoever has the best commission rate and the price will be selling for $3 million plus, just so you know. When I got this, I immediately thought two things. Number one, I do not want this listing under any circumstances. And number two, I do not want this listing under any circumstances. So let's look at the two things. Number one, they want the lowest commission. So they haven't even talked to an agent. They don't know the difference between agents. They don't know what one agent can offer compared to another one. They're not looking at experience. They're not looking at anything except who's going to do it for the cheapest. Yeah, if that's your only criteria for picking an agent, do it yourself. Do for sale by owner. It's okay. And number two, they've already told me they want $3 million plus. So that means any agent that does a valuation for them, it's already tainted because they've already said the price that they want. They're not going to let us say, hey, the property's worth 2.3 or 2 or 3.5. That's irrelevant to them. So with absolutely no experience as a real estate salesperson, they've already told me what they're willing to pay, which is the lowest, and what they're willing to take for the property, which is $3 million plus, without any consultation. That's why this wins the award for the absolute worst letter I've ever received. So this next one, number two, this came from a buyer recently on a property, and I mean in the last 2 weeks, made an offer on a property and made two huge mistakes in the offer. So let's go through them because, gosh, they almost guaranteed, even if they were the only offer, it wasn't going to get accepted. So here it is. They put in their offer, 5 p.m. deadline. That was on Wednesday. By the time we made revisions to the contract, it got past 4 o'clock on the same day. That means they wanted me now to present the offer to the seller, get it accepted, and get it back to them before 5 o'clock. So by putting in a 5 o'clock deadline, it made their offer impossible to accept because we couldn't get everything done that quickly with the revisions that I had to make because they'd made several mistakes. So then we rewrote the whole offer the next day, and they still put in a 5 o'clock deadline, and exactly the same thing happened. They made more mistakes. We had to revise the contract. So putting in a 5 p.m. deadline, maybe they read that somewhere in How to Make Offers for Dummies. Putting a deadline does not give you as the buyer more negotiating power. Doesn't do that at all. All it does for the agent and the seller is put them under pressure to try and get your offer accepted, which we're not going to do. We're not going to let a buyer rush us into making a response. So that's just a big error. It's redundant. Don't bother doing it. Waste of time. And the next one, same offer. We'd started to negotiate now in price, and they said, Daryl, this is my final price. I'm not going a penny above that. That's it. Don't even bother me. So then we actually had a higher counter offer than what they said they'd accept. So I didn't call them for a day. They eventually called me back, said, why didn't you call? I said, because you said that was your final price. Well, we're willing to pay more. I said, well, gee, if you're willing to pay more, don't make it clear in capitals and bold it with 2 exclamation marks saying, final price, don't bother me again. Because then I'm going to take that as literally what you want and I won't bother you. So that was the second big mistake they made. Never say as a buyer, final price. It's redundant. I'll know it's your final price if we come back to you and you don't change your price. So that's it. Big buyer mistake this week, big seller mistake this week. Please don't make those mistakes because you just make it harder for yourself at the end of the day. Okay, that's it. So if you're a buyer, give me a call. We'd love to help you buy the property. If you're a seller, give me a call and we'll educate you on where the market is going and what you need to do to stay ahead of the market and not chase it down. And if you're a landlord, give us a call and we'll talk about our rental guarantees that we're the only company in the area that has. That's it for this week. See you all next week.